Just to clarify, Black Creative is just one spoke under the Cultivate Labs umbrella, and we focus on arts and culture. So Cultivate Labs, under their our core values as a nonprofit, we have the 4 C's, which stand for the community, commerce, culture, and consciousness building. We also stand for a space to heal, and this one's a really big one for me as an artist myself, because we work with the communities, especially within the Soma Pilipinas Heritage District, that have experienced a lot of trauma over generations. So we are mindful that everyone that comes to any of our events or workshops, or even through the studio doors, feels healed and held. And so we seek ways to heal wounds of the past, stop cycles of behaviors and triggers, and just have a space for Filipino and Filipino Americans and Filipinx folks to just be themselves and not judged. Background on me, my grandma started the Philippine American Cultural Foundation in San Francisco in the 1960s. My grandfather was a manong in the International Hotel. He also owned one of the first pool halls and restaurants in Manila town on Kearny Street. So, my family has been here since the 1920s in San Francisco. And then my uncle was the founder of PACE, the SF State, and also was one of the founding members of the Third World Liberation Front, which helped to start the student strikes and start the ethnic studies program at SF State. And he was one of the first Filipino Americans to teach Filipino American history at SF State. So again, my family has a very long line of
lots of deep roots.
Yes, deep roots. And so to answer your question, art and activism, I feel like it's hand in hand, because art is a reflection of what our society and our community is going through. And without art, we really, because of the media, especially the media back then, the racism and the white supremacy, and basically the lens that was controlled by the oppressor, all we had was art to reflect our side of the story and our side of history. Poetry, back then in the 60s, songs, music, or now, street art, murals, things like that. So visual artists, especially at Black Creative, reflect that now with what's going on in Palestine. So to answer your question, it goes hand in hand. Oftentimes, people of color and those who are the oppressed don't get their voices heard. And so art is a way for us to be heard. I made it my mission to not just build a seat at the table, but to build a new table for Filipino Americans. Mass media, or say NPR, they don't interview folks that look like us. They're not in the spotlight. Even people like Joe Coy, who get, they have their movies produced by Steven Spielberg. Even he doesn't get the spotlight. And so we, as Black Creative and Cultivate Labs, feel like it's important and necessary for us to start our own spaces, community spaces, and that also entails platforms for Filipinos to be heard and for our stories to be recorded, because again, our history is part of American history. Artist, it's not reliable, If you're an artist, you're gonna struggle, you're not gonna have money, and I think we get to break through that negative conditioning and instead support our artists. And that's why it was important for me to produce and continue to produce things with Filipino artists, because we, again, not only for us, by us, but we have to support other Filipino artists, or else, who else is going to do it?